You know, every quarter, it's the same old story. A big company drops its earnings report, the headlines go crazy, and the stock market just reacts. But what if I told you that most people, and yeah, I mean even some really seasoned investors, are reading the story completely wrong? See, these reports aren't just a simple scorecard. Oh no, they are a carefully crafted narrative, a puzzle. And learning to read between the lines, that's probably one of the most valuable skills you can possibly have as an investor.
And the cost of getting it wrong? Well, it is absolutely massive. Just look at this number. $2 trillion. That's the estimated amount of money that just evaporates. It's wealth that's destroyed every single year from investment decisions based on a misunderstanding of these reports. I mean, it's a staggering figure that just goes to show how many people are being led down the wrong path.
And this quote, man, this really brings it all home. We're not just talking about abstract numbers on a screen here. We're talking about your financial future. The ability to properly tear these documents apart can literally, and I mean literally, change the entire course of your life. So the real question becomes, how do you avoid falling into the same traps that so many others do? Well, it really starts with the reports themselves. They become, kind of by design, incredibly complex. We're talking over 40 pages long, all crafted by lawyers and PR teams to paint the absolute best picture possible. And the reality is most investors, they never even make it past the first page. And the data? Well, the data proves it. A shocking 78% of investors are basing their decisions pretty much on the headlines alone. Only about 12% actually dig deeper. And that huge gap, the one between the people who just skim and the people who really analyze, that is where your advantage lies. So, to find that advantage, you've got to understand the playbook. An earnings report isn't just one document they drop on you. No, it's a carefully timed narrative, and it's released in stages specifically to control the story. So let's break down how that whole game works. The story unfolds in a very, very specific order. First up, you get the press release. That's pure marketing. Then comes the 8K, which is the first official form filed with the SEC. The next day, you'll have the executives on an earnings call, adding their spin. And then finally, sometimes days later, the full, detailed 10Q or 10K report gets filed. And here's the secret. The most important information, the real truth, is always, and I mean always, buried in the very last document to arrive. And this right here, this is the core difference. On one side, you've got the press release. It's the big show, designed for headlines. On the other side, you have the 10Q or 10K, the super boring legal filing. But guess what? That's where the company is legally obligated to tell the truth, to disclose the risks, and to bury all the little details they really hope you won't read. Your analysis has to start there. Period. All right, so now you know where to look. But the next big question is, what are you looking for? So I'm going to give you a simple toolkit, just a few really powerful ways to cut right through all that noise and find the real story hiding underneath. Okay, the first and by far the most common trick in the book is something called non-GAAP or adjusted earnings. This is basically where companies create their own special version of profit by just stripping out costs they decide are inconvenient. You know, things like paying their employees with stock or the costs of a big restructuring. And by the way, it's perfectly legal. The argument is that these costs aren't part of their core day-to-day business. But make no mistake, it is designed to make the bottom line look a whole lot healthier than it actually is.
And just look at how wide that gap has become. Right now, the average company's adjusted non-GAAP earnings are a full 31% higher than their official GAAP earnings. And GAAP, that stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, the actual rules. This gap is the widest it has been since the 2008 financial crisis. It's a massive distortion of reality hiding in plain sight.
So if adjusted earnings are just a story, where do you find the truth? You follow the cash. As Warren Buffett famously said, cash flow is a company's lifeblood. It's the ultimate truth serum. Why? Because unlike accounting profits, cash is incredibly hard to fake. It's the actual money moving in and out of the business.
This right here, this might be the single most important check you can do. Net income is the story. It's the profit the company says it made. But operating cash flow? That's the reality. That's the actual cash the business generated. In a healthy company, those two lines should pretty much move together. When you see profits going up but cash flow is staying flat or, even worse, falling, that is a giant flashing red flag.
And speaking of red flags, let's just run through a quick checklist here. These are some of the most common warning signs that pop up in the financial statements long before a company's stock runs into trouble. Think of this as your field guide.
Okay, let's run through the classics. First, the one we just covered. Revenue is growing, but cash flow is falling. Big one. Also, watch out for one-time charges that somehow manage to appear every single year. A CFO who suddenly leaves to pursue other opportunities? That's a huge warning sign. Also, look for inventory that's piling up way faster than sales, or a company that can only seem to grow by constantly buying up other businesses. You see one of these? Be cautious. You start seeing 2 or 3, you should be worried.
So, what does this all add up to? It means that there is a clear, achievable edge out there, and it's available to anyone who's willing to do the work. It's really about choosing which side of the information gap you want to be on. And the best part is, you don't need to be some Wall Street genius to do this. The advantage doesn't come from being complex, it comes from discipline. It comes from having a simple, repeatable checklist for every single report you read. Check the cash flow. Compare GAAP to non-GAAP. Scan for those red flags. A consistent process is your most powerful tool.
So we come right back to this. This really represents the two groups in the market. You've got the 78% who react to the headlines and the company's marketing spin, and then you have the 12% who read everything and truly understand the real story. And the hard truth is, that first group consistently subsidizes the returns of the second.
Ultimately, all the information is there. It's hiding in plain sight. It just takes the discipline to look past the shiny headlines. So the only question left is, which group will you join?